my favorite sports memory has nothing to do with baseball, and it's one
Really?
of your favorite sports. I know, just I think I know from past conversations. It involves golf.
Oh, of
Well,
course. How could I not?
no, but
Okay, let's go.
All right, and welcome everybody to another Dad Hat Chronicles podcast, DSG podcast. My name is Ed, also known as the Dad Hat. So we are doing 5 questions again, guys. This is seemed to be taking off, and it's been a lot of fun with a lot of people that have been interested in coming on, and I love that. It makes me feel good inside. So today on this podcast, we have my good friend Terry McCutcheon. Terry, how you doing? First of all, how you doing, my friend?
oh, I'm wonderful, much better than I deserve, Ed. Man, it's going
Uh,
great.
I love that. Love to hear that. All right. Terry, before we continue, before we do our 5 questions, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself. So the floor is yours, my friend.
All right, very good. Appreciate that, Ed. My name is Terry McCutcheon, as Ed said in the introduction. I born and raised in Texas, lived here all my life, in Abilene, Texas, exactly about a couple hours to the west of Dallas Fort Worth area.
Mhm.
I was in education, teacher, administrator, all that for my career. We moved around a little bit during that, but I retired about 4 or 5 years ago and moved back home, if you will. We got a summer baseball league team in 2024, the Abilene Flying Bison. Became a huge fan. Do everything I can to help there, including member of the booster club. Uh, so that's been very beneficial, very fun. And it was through 2024 is where I actually really got my love again for baseball, and I'm sure we'll talk about that in a little bit. So.
You know what? It's funny how people say it's like, as adults, sometimes like we lose sight of baseball. We lose sight of our what we really grew up in and the love that we have for the sport. And somehow, one way or another, there's that, that that one moment that just
Mhm.
it brings us back. But we will talk
Absolutely.
about that on our questions, my friend. So, as a matter of fact, the very first question is, and I would love to know because everybody's different. When did you fall in love with baseball?
Well, I fell in love with it as a kid. When at my age here, where we are, Little League baseball was the first organized sport that you could play. It
Okay.
was before football and basketball came down that way, and we didn't even have soccer here in town until I was in junior high.
Oh,
So,
really?
really, for real, I know that blows your mind, Ed, but yeah, soccer for youth wasn't even here, and so I played Little League baseball starting about 8 years old, and that was always the favorite in my family. My grandparents, were big baseball fans and had my uncles and dad had played baseball on into fast pitch softball, which was pretty big in our area for a while for adults before slow pitch softball took over, the
Yeah.
tournaments and stuff like that. So, I mean, I had traveled around my dad and uncle all over the West Texas as chasing foul balls at fast pitch softball tournaments. So
Really?
I did, yeah. Matter of fact,
That's insanity, man.
I remember one tournament. Normally they give you a Coke or a snow cone for a foul ball. Well, this little tournament, they gave you a nickel for every foul ball you returned,
That's
and
funny.
it was an all-night tournament. And so I think I was the only kid there chasing foul balls. So I got rich that weekend. I think I made $1.50 or something like that. But anyway, I thought I was king of the world, rich. But,
You're like, "Oh, yeah, this is my life right here. This is
oh yeah,
what's all
yeah,
about."
yeah. But that's where my love began. I couldn't play when they started throwing curveballs. Um,
Yeah,
I, I
we were out.
I was out. I realized too late that I needed glasses, so I couldn't see well. That might have held on a couple years. Let me play a little longer. But
Yeah.
my contemporaries in school were very very good. So I kind of hung around the sport through high school. We had a
Right.
excellent coach. My senior year, my high school won a state baseball championship. I was a manager on that team, and so that was kind of the culmination of a mini dynasty, if you will, here in Abilene at Cooper High School. Coach Andy Malone was the coach of that team. He's was a great coach in the state of Texas. So anyway, through him, I learned the intricacies of the game, and then through those guys that played the hard work and all that stuff. And so because of that learning, I was a big fan for several years through then in college. And then through adulthood, when I was raising my own kids, they chose different paths. Neither one of them were baseball or softball players. We played golf a lot, so we turned into a golf and music family. But like I say, when I came back here and the team started in 24, that's when I refound my love of the game. So
This is not in 5 questions, but I gotta ask because obviously, that team. I want to get your feeling from a fan's perspective when you have a brand new team that's coming into town when there's never been a like because this is collegiate wood bat, right? This is some summer
yes,
league,
exactly. Summer collegiate wood bat.
summer collegiate wood bat. So, like, what was that moment, right? Like, for you when finding out and then getting involved with this team that did what did for you as a fan?
Well, as a fan, my wife and I had kind of discussed, we're at a different part of life. We had an independent minor league team here in the 1990s,
Hmm.
1995 to 98, 99, called the Abilene Prairie Dogs. And
Hmm.
they were very popular, and the league just folded. It just, it didn't last. And so we were newlyweds and had a baby. Our first
Oh
child was born that
Lord.
first year. And so we didn't have enough money to get season tickets or anything, but we would go as much as we could.
Hmm.
Then, like I say, we moved away, bounced around, and so Abilene itself had ball. They had another iteration of the Prairie Dogs who came, I think, in 2012 and lasted a half a season in a different league, but those were independent minor league teams. So
Gotcha.
when this team was announced, and they had been trying, Scott Kirk, a wonderful guy, um, had been trying to get baseball in Abilene for a few years. That was in place when we moved back. And a matter of fact, they announced they were going to have a team in 23, and it just didn't work out. So that the
A little
wheels were
setback.
the wheels were greased already, and it was in the back of my mind, hey, this is going to be fun. And then when it was came to fruition, it was Abilene. We got a name. We're naming the team, and we've got a league, the Mid America League, and all that came to pass. Then I was like, I want to do everything I can to help. I work, even though I'm retired in education, I do have a job with a signage company, and we make some signs. And so I'd reached
Mhm.
out to the team and said, hey, we would like to help if you need it. If we'll give you a price. But you know, other than that, I would like to volunteer and help and do anything I can to help. And so
Right.
much so, I probably get in the way sometimes of them. But no, I don't know if I answered your question, but
No, you
it
most
was just
certainly did.
it was
You
just
did.
whatever we can do to help support the team, to if just a little bit help it stay. We don't want this thing to go away because the
Yeah.
city needs it, the kids love it, the family loves it, families love it. It's just needed here in town, in my opinion, and it's a wonderful night during the summer when there's not a lot going on. So
It's funny you say that, and again, we're veering a little bit off because we've never really had an interaction, on a podcast. But like the not only the economical part of all of this of having a team in a town such as Abilene, right? Because I'm
right,
sure Abilene's not as a bigger town as the other towns, right? But it's um that but that need, right? Because it does bring jobs, it does bring the economic development and help and all of that. But what it actually does to, like you said something that that it resonates with me. The families need it here. Like they like
right,
it, they love it because you get to go do something other than just being at home watching TV or the tablets or things like that.
sure, absolutely, yeah. It's a relatively cheap, inexpensive evening for a family of however many.
Hmm.
The kids are welcome, and those college students that are playing the game are so uh, welcoming and so encouraging to those kids. I mean,
Yeah.
they'll high five them all, autographs, whatever. And of course, the players then they might as well. The little leaguers that are here in town, they don't know the difference between um, Aaron Judge and Samson Pugh, who's
Yeah.
one of our players from last summer. They just know they're a ball player that's on that field, and I'll take their autograph anytime and whatever. So
Absolutely. Also, you never know, right? Because
you're right.
a lot of these kids started in for example, one of the ones that I know that is near and dear to me, the Northwoods League, right? Because
Mhm.
a lot of people went to a lot of major leaguers play there.
Sure. Yeah, those guys have to play somewhere in the summer, and we've in the league already had 2 or 3 guys drafted, and I anticipate others because there's been some high quality baseball players come through, not just Abilene but the whole league. So that's fun to see.
Nice. I love it. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. So, all right, my friend. Okay, so that's question number 1. On to question number 2.
Yeah, it sounds
All
like this might turn into 10 questions instead of 5.
I know, eventually, exactly, right? So, officially, question number 2.
There you go.
Officially.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. All right. Tell me, obviously you have it's a two-part for you because younger, you left, didn't follow baseball for too much, and then you came back. So I want to get your sports memories for you. Some of your favorite sports memories.
Oh, wow. That's Gosh, there's so many of them at my age, yeah. And there's probably some that I've forgotten even, but the most vivid memories tied to sports. I'll start with baseball
Sure.
specifically, and then I'm gonna end with a non-baseball one. But
Absolutely. Hey, this
um,
is your podcast, my friend.
uh, in high school, that team I told you about,
Yeah.
my senior year, like I say, I was a manager and a athletic trainer on the team, and made the state tournament. And the state tournament then was played at Dish Falk Field on the University of Texas campus.
That's pretty cool.
And that team happened that year through the playoffs to go through several pitchers who ended up pitching in the major leagues. David Need and Butch Henry, I think, and I mean there's several players. Willie Ainsley was drafted in the first round, but anyway, the semifinal game was against a team in Houston that Brian Bohannon was the pitcher, and he was a first round draft pick. And they were supposed to beat us. And I'll tell you, that team that I played on, or that I had played on, strike that, I did not play. The team that I was,
You were
our high
part
school,
of.
our high school team was one of the best accumulations of talent back then, before all the money started being spent on travel ball and college ball and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But I think every one of those starters and a lot of the kids on the bench ended up playing college ball somewhere. Many of them played, up to AA, AAA. But they just battled, and that team won 1-0. But it was saved. That Bohannon kid, the pitcher, also batted. Of course, they do in high school. Well, he hit a ball in the gap, and our center fielder made a diving catch going away from home plate, to save. There was a runner on base, so he saved no runs, saved that inning, and then he hit a solo home run. So it was a 1-0 game, and so that's one of my vivid memories there of baseball.
That's pretty cool.
Then I'm trying to think. In college, I was a big fan. I went to A&M for a few years. I didn't graduate there, but I went to A&M, and I spent a lot more time following the baseball team than I did studying. That's why I didn't graduate from there. But
we've all been there.
That was back in the Mark Johnson era. And if you look it up, our friend Eric Profit, his hometown Wichita State team won the national championship. I believe it was in 1989. Well, the 89 Texas A&M team was number 1 all year long. They only lost like 7 games. But at the time they didn't have the super regionals. They had one regional, 6 teams in each regional. LSU was in our region as a number 2 seed.
Ooh.
And LSU ended up beating A&M 2 games on a Sunday to go to the College World Series that year and knock A&M out. But they were led by Ben McDonald, and that was the team. And it ended up kind of jump-starting LSU into their greatness back in 1989. But that's one of my heart-sinking memories.
Oh, I've been there.
It was
plenty of those.
I do remember a player on that team, John Byington, hit 2 ninth-inning home runs against the University of Texas that year to beat them. That was awesome. Since then, of course, 2023 World Series for the Rangers. You had the heartbreak of 11 and, those teams, but finally getting over the hump in 2023. That's why I enjoy what's going on in the American League with the Blue Jays, even though they hadn't won it in a while, and the Mariners. Either one of those make me ecstatic.
Listen, obviously, as you already know, I'm a Cleveland fan, right?
Yes,
so,
sir.
like,
Yes.
I wanted Cleveland to make it. Obviously,
Most
they
definitely.
didn't. But the fact that we have 2 new teams that have not been there in such a long time, in the Blue Jays and the Mariners have never been to the World Series, right? So you kind of feel for both teams, like I don't want to root against any of them, just because it's a great story already as it is. You just want good baseball.
Yeah, either fan base is going to be happy. And, my friend Patrick Larson, our friend there,
yes, sir.
He'll be ecstatic for the Blue Jays, and I'll be happy for him. But then, either one of those fan bases, but even on the National League side, it's going to be great with the two best teams from the National League too, the Brewers.
And you had the best team all year, right? In the Milwaukee Brewers.
Absolutely.
So creating those memories and watching those memories. It's been like, I was actually having a conversation with a fellow friend of ours, Eric Prophet, right? And that night, the game where the Mariners and the Tigers went full 15 innings, right?
Yes.
We went live because it was like, we might as well go do something, right?
I went back and listened to a little bit of that today, Ed.
So we were there and we were watching it and we were experiencing it, all of us, for the first time together, because it was such a great moment. And there's like, these are two really good teams that are battling, right? Like, I mean, they're pulling their bullpen, they're pulling their starting pitchers and all of that. And it was such a cool experience. It's like, I think I'm going to eventually add that as, what is one of my favorite memories, right?
Yeah.
So
I bet that was cool. Yeah. We had gone to a high school football game, as we do every Friday night here in Texas. But getting back, we were kind of following along with it on our phone and, still going when we get home. And my son-in-law and I, honestly, we got to rooting for, hey, let's just get the record. If we're going to watch baseball this late,
I know,
let's just
right?
get the record, whatever. And I know nobody else wanted it, but
it was close.
We got pretty close. So.
Yeah, so it was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah.
All right,
sorry, I was going to finish the question.
Yeah.
My favorite sports memory has nothing to do with baseball, and it's
Really?
one of your favorite sports. I know, I think I know from past conversations. It involves golf.
Oh, of course. How could I not?
No, but like I told you earlier, my son went the golf route, and he played in high school, and I was fortunate enough to be the quote, and I'm going to do that in air quotes, but I mean the coach of that team. I drove him around and tried to keep him out of trouble, but anyway.
That's how it usually goes.
They as a team, I'm gonna say we, but were able to qualify for the state tournament, which had never happened in school history. Through that year, they had set several school records in their score, and that was fun because it really was a bunch of kids who didn't play golf when they were little. My son had probably played the longest. Now they ended up being very good golfers. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Several of them played in college, and that was nothing on me. That was all their hard work and stuff. But that was a fun group. It was really rainy in the regional tournament, and we overcame the weather and just battled. And they had a playoff that they had to beat the other team to qualify, and so they were able to do that. And that was a fun experience to experience that with those kids and to see them experience that. So
not only that, I think you're hiding is like, what, your experience with your son.
Oh, most definitely, yeah. That's what made it, and he and I have those memories forever. And
you will always have those.
Golfers, I don't know. We're nuts. We can still go back and talk about it. If a round comes up, we can both go back shot for shot and kind of replay that round in our minds. But
that's cool though. I like that. Like, listen, again, this podcast is obviously for a lot of fans of baseball, but at the same time, if you want to come on the podcast and you want to talk about, how you fell in love with golf or how you fell in love with football, please do, contact me, because these are the things that, like, and like, we're not getting political, but like, there's so much stuff going on in the world that at the very least we can escape and do it in a way in which sports just does it like nothing else.
Most definitely. And it may fit under another question, but that's what I love about, going to the baseball games in the summer. You'd asked me a little bit earlier, is we've got fans in our booster club, but just fans that come in general that you become friends with just because of the game. And they're all different political persuasions and opinions and all that stuff.
All walks of life.
But when it comes through the gate, we're all Abilene Flying Bison fans, and we just love on each other and enjoy the games together. And that is what's cool.
I love that.
I just wish there was more of that throughout the world, And then we could, when we have differences of opinions, we could then, hey, let's just talk about this a little bit, see where you come from, see where I come from. Let's come up with a consensus. But
absolutely. And if we want to fight, let's fight about sports, because there's nothing wrong about fighting about sports, because that's exactly the best part of.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's funny because on the DSC sports show, it's like, obviously a lot of us have different opinions when it comes to sports. We argue about it and everything, and then all of a sudden we forget about it once it's done. It's like, all right, guys, love you guys. Gotta go. See you later.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's always fun stuff. All right, my friend. Look at that. Question number 3.
All right.
Tell me about some of your traditions, some of your rituals as a fan of sports.
Okay,
That you have.
sure. One, I like to get to a game early, uh,
I like that.
as close to gate opening time as I can, for several reasons. If it's baseball, a lot of times there's a handout or whatever, and
Absolutely.
I don't care what it is. If it's free, you got to have one, right?
It's a giveaway. It's free.
If
Let's
it's a
go.
giveaway, whether I need it, want it, or whatever, but got to have one.
Absolutely.
But no, I love getting there early and scoping out my seat, getting set up, and then scoping out the concessions, the different views,
Good
things
man.
along those lines. So that's kind of a tradition. Um, Things that I collect caps, thanks to people like the Dad Hat Chronicles and those kind of people. It's rubbed off.
Whoopsie.
So usually at every game I go to, I'll buy a cap.
Okay.
First of all, it may be one, it may be 3 or 4, but we'll
It all
see.
depends. Yeah.
Thanks, Tulsa Drillers. But
Yeah. Right.
anyway, I'll buy at least one of those. Concessions wise, I mean, I try to buy an ice cream helmet.
Of course.
I've got that, and
Of course.
then
Thank you, Eric and Paul.
if I don't, yeah, exactly. Thanks to them, and like I need another collection. But I like to try out the signature food. It's not necessarily
Mm,
a hot dog and a beer or a hot dog and Coke or anything. Whatever if they have a signature item,
yeah.
I like to try that out. And so at some point in time in the game, so we don't eat previous meal, whatever it is, before going to the game. That's
Okay. I like
not the
that.
most economical way to go to the game,
It is not, but
but it is what it is. It's our journey.
but
Uh,
the rationale goes out the window when it comes to sports.
yes, you're right. You're right. And then my wife and I really kind of knew for us is going to the games together. This summer we had a 100 game challenge within it to ourselves. That
Yeah,
game 100 was in Chicago at Wrigley Field.
that's cool.
Got the picture
Congratulations.
behind me. Thank you very much. We ended up going to, I don't know, 102 or 3 total, but game 100 was at Wrigley. But throughout that journey, we wanted to, one, keep the books, but my wife is the one that actually keeps the books.
Hmm.
She doesn't want my chicken scratch on there. She wants to do it her neat way with her sharpened pencils and all that stuff. So
That's awesome.
that's her, I guess, tradition necessarily.
Yeah.
But I'm there to help her out if there's any weird questions. And then we take a picture, try to get the scoreboard in the background of the picture. At some point,
Obviously,
uh,
for records.
for record's sake. And then I've also tried to start getting a picture. I didn't start this at the beginning, of behind the plate out toward the outfield.
That picture that I'm looking at behind you right now, it looks from behind home plate. They look awesome because I also see the sky, the clouds and all that. That's pretty cool.
Now,
I like that a lot.
I'm not a photographer by any stretch of the imagination. But
Yeah,
that
yeah.
picture, that was at Wrigley, and that's actually from our seats. But we had the cloudy night, and the sun was back over the third base side,
Yeah.
shining on the buildings and everything. I just thought it was a cool view.
It
It made a
most
great
certainly
image,
is.
and so anyway,
That thing is very dope.
that's
I'm Terry. That's a beautiful picture.
I appreciate that. You're very kind.
And the fact that you actually took it and then framed it, that's cool. I like that.
Okay. Yeah, I had that blown up. That was one of my wife's birthday gifts. I surprised her with. So
You know what? You're a good man. You are a
if
good
it's
man.
your own art, that makes it even more special, right? And
Oh
that
God,
was-
yeah, absolutely. I wish I was a better of a photographer. That's one thing I wish I
Well,
was. A
well,
better photographer.
that was a God thing. That wasn't my talents for sure. That just happened to be
That
there.
just
So
happened to be on that day.
hit click. So
Yep, boom, done. There it is. All right. Any other traditions, any rituals or anything like that?
that
Um,
that's
that you can think
probably
of?
it. I mean,
Okay.
I don't leave early. Very
No,
rarely.
nope. You
Uh,
cannot leave. Whether win or lose, we can't. We
yeah.
gotta stay there. You never know. You never know what happens.
No, matter of fact, there was a rain delay. It happened to be in Wichita. We went up there for the NBC World Series with
Yeah.
Eric and his family. And on that Friday night, we went to a wind surge game, and they had a storm blow through, and they put out the tarp, and we stayed through the multiple movings of the tarp of whether they're going to finish or not. And finally, when they said nope, no game, then that's when we left.
All right, so that's when it's like, all right,
But
it's officially we're
but
done.
yeah, we stayed till the bitter end, no matter what.
I've done some games in snow. I've done some games in rain. You name it, I've been there, and I do not like leaving early. I do not. That's not. I can't. Right?
Yeah.
You just can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, if you have kids or something, that's one thing. But
Oh yeah, I'll just let my daughter run. We have the Holly Springs Salamanders nearby here from us, another collegiate woodbat team. And the cool thing that they have about that park is that they have uh, a play area.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So they got there, so you can go there and plays, and it's still within there, so we can still keep an eye out and watch the game. So it's always there. So we've done that. We've done the. It's like, all right, baby girl, go play, and then I still keep an eye on the game and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So it's you got to do what you got to do, right?
Hey, and that play area in a minor league park, whatever, that play area is awesome. I can't imagine putting a stadium now without it.
Without it, you can't.
Yeah.
You got to have something. So
Yeah.
all right, my friend, here we go. We're halfway done already. Look at that.
Looky there, clicking it on.
I know. All right. Let me ask you this, and these are my philosophical questions for you. Okay.
Okay.
Question number 4: how has baseball changed your life?
Wow. That is a philosophical one, and I'm gonna be honest. At 100% honesty is I tried to go back and I listened to all your shows.
Okay,
But I tried to
appreciate
take
it. Thank you.
I tried to take notes at a few of these to try to get what did I study the questions, but and I knew something like this was coming up, but man, that's a deep one. How has it changed my life? Well, for one, and this is just in this last couple of years,
Mhm.
coming in 2024, my dad had died in January of the year.
Mhm.
We were already in place to help the baseball team and stuff like that. So, but he was such a big baseball guy, and I was such a baseball fan that a lot of the things, the connections that I've made through that kind of helped get me through that grieving process, I guess, if you will.
Sure.
This community that came from minor league baseball that, has kind of bubbled up through X,
Yeah.
how I found it, it was just happened to come across it. And, when I first started listening to the whole dad hat or the curved brim empire
Yeah.
of podcasts, I would get you guys mixed up. I was like, which one's Ed?
Who's who?
Well,
Right.
who? And golly, they're talking about. I'm going to mix it up here because I'm on the spot. But they talk about this kind of hat, a flat brim hat, and a
We got the curve
920,
brim.
a 920, and a dad hat, and a this and this and this. And I don't like the 50, whatever. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Big
But
mistake trying to find out later on, huh?
right, yeah. Well, I've spent a lot of money on my research. We'll say that. But and even today, you'll say, "Well, I don't like the fit of that hat." I was like, "How the heck do you know?" But you bought enough of them, But anyway, the friendships that have come through that, and a lot of those friendships, just like yours and mine, at this point in time, we've never met in person. Right?
No.
Very matter of fact, only a couple of those people have I ever talked to in person. But I've had conversations through social media, and the funny thing is, as a teacher, as a principal, and even as a parent, we always warned our kids, hey, don't start relationships over the internet because it's really not who they, right? All you're seeing is their highlight films and you don't know who they are or whatever. But the relationships that have come through this and conversations we've had just in passing, it's just an awesome thing and kind of built this community that I feel part of. Even though, like I say, I haven't met most of you guys in person, face to face, but we have communicated at one time or another. And so it's just kind of slowly growing those relationships. That's the biggest thing to me. And the in person, as a fan of the local team, the Flying Bison, this last summer, 2 years in a row, they were in the championship final tournament. It happened to be here in Abilene because we host it. They lost the last game. And last summer it was sad and they lost and we went our separate ways. This summer we had built the relationships with all the fans that were there, and it was sad. Not like tears sad, but hugging
Yeah,
people saying
absolutely.
goodbye. This is the last time we're going to see each other for several months. But, it wasn't as sad for the result on the field, which I felt bad for the kids and all that stuff. But that wasn't the sadness. It was the sadness that I'm not going to see these people again tomorrow or next week. And
Right.
so we committed we're going to have get-togethers and all that stuff, which we have, and we
That's
would not have
awesome.
come together except for baseball. That's the
You
only thing that brought us
you,
together.
you guys created a community.
Yeah. So that has been what I've gotten out of baseball.
You guys created your own community, right? Like that's part of it. Like obviously we're both part of this much bigger community that it is minor league baseball and baseball as a whole in sports actually just because
Sure.
I'm a fan of sports. Everything listen, table tennis I'll watch. So but the fact that like and I've been blessed and lucky enough to have met a lot of the people already in person through the corporate media meetup, right?
Sure.
Where they come and we've met, we spent some time together. And like sometimes the game itself has become secondary
Mm.
or third in what we're really doing because we're all just hanging out, we're joking around, we're obviously buying merchandise and buying the food and the ice cream helmets and all that stuff. But like
Right.
that has been the most rewarding part of joining this community.
Yeah.
So
It's amazing, and it's been fun. I can't say that I personally know anybody else who would say, "Yeah, I'm a fan of the Cleveland Guardians," or
yeah,
"I'm a fan of the Toronto Blue Jays." I just don't.
you're in Texas, so
Or
it's
the
either the
Florida Marlins.
right, right, exactly. So like you're in Texas, so it's either Rangers or Astros, right? For the
Yes.
most
Yep.
part.
Yeah. Absolutely. You still have. There's Yankees fans everywhere, and
There are Yankees
Cubs and
everywhere, yeah.
Cardinals. Somewhat, but for the most part, you're exactly right. It's Rangers or Astros.
Mhm. And
Cowboys or nobody. Steelers.
yeah,
A lot of Steelers fans down here
yeah,
for some reason.
not a lot of Houston Texans fans, huh?
Not up here, not as far north as we are. They never have gotten that big a grip. So
There you go. Well, they stay more towards the south. The Dallas Cowboys have a grip on the state of Texas pretty much.
pretty much, yeah. So we won't go there. So
I'm a Browns fan. Trust me, I get it.
yes,
At the
sir.
time of this recording, we lost yet again to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So well, there's that fun stuff. Anyways, all right, Terry. Here's my last question for you. Okay,
Okay,
we've done 4
number
already.
5.
Yep, exactly. So we've done the when you fall in love. We did our favorite sport memories, some traditionals and rituals. How has the sport changed your life, and
Mhm.
now why why baseball, right? Like why this sport?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you could have, obviously you love golf and you have that special connection with your son through golf.
Sure.
But why baseball?
Yeah. I love that question, Ed. Um, you know, it's it is a great question. Why baseball? I think because one, baseball doesn't require intense attention during the play to keep up.
Ooh.
You can have conversations, you can bounce in and out, and still have a pretty general idea of what's going on. Now, you may not know if it was a 6-4-3 double play or 4-6-3 or what. You may
Right.
miss the triple play if you happen to go to the concession stand at the wrong time. But as far as
True.
knowing what's going on, you have a general idea. That's one
Yeah.
thing. And so it allows you to grow relationships more. There's more games in a season in baseball than the
Mm.
other sports, not counting basketball. But I have no idea about basketball fandom.
Still
But
baseball has the most.
talk about a lot of action, and
Yep.
it's in a gym that's usually at the higher levels. It's dark and the lights are on the court, so it doesn't encourage communication. Football, you have 10 home games max probably during the year,
Mhm.
and tickets are a lot more expensive.
A lot
Baseball is
more
more
expensive.
affordable. Nearly everyone at some point in time has some history of baseball as a kid, so I have a little knowledge. The other sports maybe are a little more not as large a fan base or as kids people playing, especially for people my age. That may be changing now with kids. I don't know, but you've got all that, and then the last thing is baseball is not timed. Now, yes, there's a pitch clock nowadays. Yes, there's cut down the time between innings, it's 2 minutes,
Mhm.
get in and out, that kind of stuff, which I think is honestly good because, you're
There could yeah.
2.5, 3 hours and you're done for sure.
And as a
But
parent of a child, yeah, it's a good thing.
yes, sir. I don't like sitting through a 3.5 inning, a 3.5 hour 9 inning game,
Mhm.
but because there's so much just dragging, but there's not the clock doesn't run out. There's
Yep.
always hope until that 27th out is made. There's always hope. Now, it may be a deep well to dig. You may be down 9 going in the ninth, 2 quick outs. But if you get enough guys on in a row, you've got a chance still. The other team can't bleed the clock out on you and hold the ball, keep it away from you because you're getting a chance to hit. So I think as a fan, that's what makes it encouraging is there's always hope.
I like that. I like that. There's always hope. You have 27 outs,
Mhm.
and there's always hope.
Yeah,
Like, you
and
can
how
still
many
have a
times have we seen it that the ninth inning is the hardest to get the 3 outs? You bring in the closer, it doesn't matter, but it's a battle to get
man.
that last out all the time.
Like, the whole that feeling of having your back, to the wall and then just, like, having to just battle it out, like, like, "Alright, fine. You got us so far. You guys are winning,
Yeah,
but we're gonna make it difficult.
right.
I'm gonna make it as difficult as possible. We're gonna go to battle, you and I. It's just you and me, and then let's go." And I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah. That's
Such a
that's just some of the things that I love about it, and that like I say, I'd kind of forgotten about it. And people say it's boring, but I don't, man, I don't think it is because I love the intricacies of it. Is your third baseman playing up? Is he playing back? Now nowadays, they don't. There's not as much, small ball, if you will, not,
mhm.
not much bunting and things along those lines. But shading your center fielder to right field, pitching the guy away to try to make him hit it the other direction, and all that kind of stuff. I just love watching when I can, and that's
Yeah.
what my favorite. You ask about rituals. If I could pick a seat, it would be down right behind one of the dugouts where I could hear the conversations in the dugout.
Oh
My
my
wife,
god.
my wife loves sitting behind home plate, so she's a little more expensive to take to a game. But no, if I had a choice, I would sit down by the dugouts.
That's an interesting question because I love that question. I've asked this question to a lot of people. It's like, why do you choose the place where you're at? And to me personally, and again, this has changed over the years, just because I used to be right behind the dugout, and I still am to a certain point. But sitting like by the berm, that's something that I truly enjoy, just because my daughter gets to play, and I get to still pay attention to the game.
Nice, yeah.
You know,
But and I'm guessing that usually most say places I've been, that's pretty close to where the play area is, if there is one.
bingo. That's
Yeah.
right. You know what I mean? That's what it is. You got to pay attention to those things.
Sure.
Um, and that's why I appreciate, with a lot of minor league teams and their ballparks, they have access to kids and access to berms and things like that. Not just sit there, because obviously having a kid sit there in a major league stadium, you just sit there and there's not a whole lot else going on. Granted, a lot of them have been updating and upgrading and
Right.
having kids area, right? And so it's been cool. Shout out to Lake County Captains, which, by the way, they have an area for strictly with kids who, like, with autism, things like that, who are very sensitive
Yeah.
to sound and all that. They got a special room for them. So I really that's cool stuff right there, right?
That
Because they get to those kids get to experience, and the parents get to have an escape as well
mhm.
from the normal everyday routine.
Most definitely. Now, is it the captains that have the whole sensory game, 1 game a year? Is it them as
I
well?
I believe it is. I
Yeah.
believe it is.
But
So
no,
that's
that's
cool.
yeah, that's very cool. I love it.
So, there's also a couple of other collegiate football team that does that. Uh, Terry, this has been an absolute pleasure to have you on and answer 5 questions, because I mean, honestly, I just stumbled on these 5 questions, to be honest with you, and
Mhm.
I've gotten to have so much joy asking them, because they're just simple 5 questions, but they make you think. You know,
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I love it, and I mean, I'm honored to be on.
I'm glad that you're on.
not gonna lie. I reached out and said, "Yeah, I'd love to be on if you get hard up enough for guests." And
No, no, no. There's
so,
never hard enough. It's just, and again, I open this up to everybody who is interested in coming on the podcast and answer these questions. It does not necessarily have to be baseball. Okay, just I want to make that very clear. If you're a fan of baseball, if you're a fan of basketball, hockey, whatever that sport is, I have 5 simple questions to ask and why you fell in love with that. So you guys are more than welcome to come on the podcast. Just
And
send me a message.
I'm pretty sure Ed's a huge tennis fan too,
No, you do pay attention, Terry. You do pay attention. There's a story behind that. You guys gotta listen to those. So, Terry, where can people find you on all of the socials, my friend?
All right, I am on Twitter or X and Instagram and Threads,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna make sure I don't get this backwards. I'm Terry.McCutcheon on Threads and Instagram, and on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. I'm trying to make a change. I'm TB McCutcheon.
Yep, I followed
TB
you on Terry
TB
on
McCutcheon.
Threads. Yep, Terry
S-
dot McCutcheon. Yep, on
and
Thread.
I try to post. At one time, it was every day. I try to post a cap of the day that I call top of the morning with a little, little jingle, a little positive thought for the day when I get that in. I also host a podcast where I interview, try to keep people, fans of try tied to woodbat baseball is kind of where it started. But I love
I
talking to
like that.
baseball. I love talking to baseball people, and that's called Foul Tips and Bat Flips.
All right,
So,
so all right, guys. So I want to ask you now because we're fellow podcasters. Tell me more about this podcast of yours.
well, it started out. Gosh, a year and a half ago, I was like, man, I'd like
Mhm.
to try that. I don't mind hearing myself talk if you hadn't figured that out.
No,
Uh,
I know.
but uh,
Neither. Yeah.
but I was like, man, I'm loving this. I want to. I love talking baseball to people, and I didn't know if I had any connections or not much, but so I just said I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna figure it out and jump right in there. So I interviewed. My first interview was a former player with the Flying
Nice.
Bison. He and I kind of made a connection, and he actually was a kid that played Tyzik Nolan. He played all 9 positions last year at one of the games.
What?
Yeah, he played all 9 positions, and I was pretty big in pushing that. I'm taking credit for the idea. I may or may not have actually had the idea, but I was the one that went to the front office over and over and said he's got to do it because he was a catcher, right? He was a catcher and he also pitched some. I'm like, if you can do those two, you can do the rest.
You can do the rest.
For
100%. Those are the two
so
hardest positions in
yes,
baseball.
exactly. So knowing that and going into it, and we were a very successful team, so that was a game that kind of the point. If we lost the game, fine,
Sure.
didn't matter that much. But anyway, they finally did it. Well, on that night, I dressed up as Waldo instead of saying "Where's Waldo," I'm like, "Where's Tyzik?" And so
Nice.
anyway, through that we had a connection. So I interviewed him. It was my first official podcast guest, and I actually sat on the interview for several months before I actually posted it. And I was like, man, I don't know, but I've enjoyed it. You know, reaching um, thousands and thousands of listeners at this point in time, or not. The choice is yours. No,
Absolutely.
but I really don't care. I mean, it doesn't
It's not it's for
it,
you.
it doesn't hurt me at all to post it. And if anybody enjoys it, I hope they do. But um, if they do, fine. If not, I'm enjoying talking to people, and I'm reaching out to other baseball people. I interviewed a kid that I went to high school with. He's the head coach down at A&M Corpus Christi now. I've interviewed the president of the Middle America League and things along those lines. So it's just
I'm super happy to hear that, my friend. I
so
like and I do have here the one that you released 3 days ago, New Man in Town. Scott Kirk, Executive Vice President of the Mid American League team in Bryan, Texas.
yeah, he was here in Abilene last year, and he's moving down to be the executive vice president in Bryan. It's going to be a 2-part deal, so we release the end of that Thursday morning. So
I love that. Absolutely love that, my friend. Thank you so much for that. And again, make sure that you guys are following Terry on all of the socials. Make sure you guys are following myself. I am on YouTube, Threads, Instagram, also on TikTok. I do put my videos there as well. Some historical times, not just baseball. I do all sports. And then our shows, guys, just wanted to go over there really quick. Monday mornings from 6 to 7. That's a brand new show. It is with Donnie Wise and myself. We call it Breakfast Takes, where we talk about nothing but North Carolina and South Carolina sports. Then you have Break Even Sports later on that day, where we talk about FCS Division 2, Division 3, soccer. We talk about Formula One, IndyCar. We think those sports that not a lot of people normally talk about. That's the show for you guys. So if you guys are interested, follow that. It's on YouTube. And finally, and you've been part of it, the DHC Sports Show Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So there you go, guys. And if you are interested, again, I will put this. Make sure you send me a message on any of the socials so that way I can get you on. We'll schedule it. That's what I did with Terry. He said, "Hey, I want to be on," and I'm like, "Absolutely, let's do it." And now he's here. So until then, guys, thank you so much, and then support to minor leagues. Y ya no hay